West Midlands Football Podcast. It's Monday evening, and it's been a very busy weekend of action. And as we're talking right now, Wolves are just getting underway against Everton in the Premier League. If during the course of the next hour or so anything happens, we will update you. How you doing, first of all? I'm Ben Ellis, delighted to be with you. I normally do the Box to Box podcast here on local TV, which is more national, but I'm a Brummie boy at heart, so I'm delighted to be with you for the West Midlands Football Podcast for tonight. And joined on the line, Jonathan Wimbush. Jonathan, good evening.
You all right? Not too bad.
You all right? Yep. So my team's Villa, your team is West Brom. We're hopefully going to be joined. Hopefully going to be joined by Joshua Clark for a take on all things Birmingham City as we progress through it. You can leave your own thoughts on Facebook as we're streaming, as well as YouTube and Twitter. All the information is there. Our own Twitter handles, of course, are on the screen. So we better start with the Premier League. And obviously, I've got a lot to say regarding my team at the moment. But do you not think the sacking of Nuno Espirito Santo in terms of headlines at Tottenham has probably possibly just eased the pressure on Dean Smith in terms of his position, because that's where the focus is today?
Yeah, I believe so. I mean, Nuno's only really had 4 months in charge of Tottenham. Obviously, we all know around this area, around the Birmingham and Wolverhampton area, what he can do, because it was so successful at Wolverhampton Wanderers I just don't think he's been given enough time at Tottenham. But yeah, sure enough, it's been the focus has been taken off Aston Villa and their problems at the moment, of course.
Yeah, and they are real problems. 4 successive defeats in the Premier League. The latest one, a 4-1 reversal at Villa Park yesterday against West Ham. I've got to be honest. From a Villa fan's point of view, I can't say I didn't see this result coming. I mean, if you think about it, I mean, West Ham, good side, very solid. David Moyes is doing a terrific job. They're favourites to win the Europa League. So under no illusions, I mean, even if Villa were at full strength and flying, it would have been a very difficult game. But given where Villa have been over the last month or so with the results that they'd had, maybe the result wasn't too much of a surprise yesterday.
No, I mean, from an outside perspective, looking in on Villa, basically we've seen what West Ham can do. They've got some brilliant talents such as Declan Rice, Said Benrahma, and obviously we were looking at that and thinking Villa may have a chance, but then again, if West Ham run away with it, then of course it's all West Ham's game. And that's exactly what happened. 7th minute, Johnston, he scored. Declan Rice does what Declan Rice does best. And yeah, I mean, a good goal from Ollie Watkins, but to be honest, that was like the brightest moment in the Villa game, in my opinion.
Yeah, that parity didn't last particularly long before Declan Rice restored the lead. The big talking point, of course, is the sending off 5 minutes into the second half. And I don't honestly think it affected the outcome of the game. I still think West Ham were the better side, were the stronger side, and were leading. But what's the word I'm looking for here? The ineptitude of the officials in working the VAR. They're looking at 2 incidents within the space of a couple of seconds. If you haven't seen this already, Courtney Hawes has gone in on Jarrah Bowen and left an arm on his jaw effectively. And when all these things are checked, often they look worse than they are when they're slowed down. But they looked at that and decided no action was necessary. It rolls on about 2 seconds, and Ezri Konsa has fouled. I think it might have been Pablo Fornells, but I can't be sure. Just as he was going into the box, and they've deemed that a clear goal scoring opportunity. Now, I'm sorry, he's not 1-on-1 with the keeper yet. He's wide of the he's wide of the goal. Dean Smith argued that Ashley Young was covering as well. So how you can claim that to be a clear goal scoring opportunity, I don't know. Another thing as well, which I'd like to get your opinion on. It's interesting with VAR when it first came in, how we were sort of moaning all the time that the referees weren't going over to look at the screen. And now, every time a referee is advised by VAR to go and look at the screen, you know they're going to change their mind.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just because somebody at Stockley Park has said you might want to go and have a look at this, doesn't mean you've got to go and change your mind.
No, absolutely.
You can still go and look at it and go, no, actually, I'm comfortable with the decision I've made here. And but just because your mate said in your ear you should go and have a look at that, oh yeah, I'll start doing this, and then change the decision. You knew it was going to happen, and rightfully so with Paul Pogba last week, of course, with Man United and Liverpool. But as soon as we get that signal, oh no, he's going over to look at the screen. This is bad news now. So Villa were down to 10 men. Dean Smith said Villa were decent with 10 men. I don't particularly agree with that. I still think West Ham were the strongest side. Villa had that one chance with Ollie Watkins hitting the bar not long after the sending off. But I mean, from like you say, from an outsider's point of view, I mean, where do you think Villa are at the moment? Do you think that you can't say it's a blip because it's 4 games on the trot? But I mean, where do you think they go from here, and how do you think they can halt the slide?
Well, from an outside point of view, I thought Villa started the season really strong, but yeah, they seem to have fallen by the wayside. I mean, most likely topic at the start of the season was, of course, you guys selling Jack Grealish to Manchester City. Everyone on the outside looking in was thinking, well, Jack Grealish has been with Villa all his life. Why are they all of a sudden selling into Manchester City? There could be a problem there. And sure enough, from an outside point of view, I honestly don't think Villa's actually had anyone to replace Jack Grealish and his intensity and his ability to win free kicks and everything like that. I just don't see where in the Villa squad who has actually replaced Jack Grealish at the moment. But obviously, yeah.
Do you think it's interesting as well that you take that player out of the side who pretty much guarantees you free kicks, rightly or wrongly? That's obviously an objective point of view. Jack Grealish draws fouls, Jack Grealish dives, whatever. We're not here to debate that.
No.
Do you not find it interesting though that they sell him and they bring in a specialist set piece coach when they're not going to get as many set pieces?
When they're not going to get as many set pieces, yeah, absolutely.
It's funny that, isn't it?
Decision that.
Yeah, it's funny. So they got to Southampton on Friday night. Seems to be on TV a lot at the moment, do Villa. And then there's the international break. And then Brighton and then Crystal Palace. I think these 3 games, I mean, Dean Smith is now at the head of the sack race with Nuno going today.
Yeah.
Football isn't played on paper, but those 3 fixtures are actually quite kind, aren't they? If you're looking to get a result, you don't get some kind of result from those, then questions are going to be asked, aren't they?
Yeah, I see for Villa those are must-win games, to be honest. But of course, in the Premier League, you don't write off any team at the moment. I mean, Crystal Palace almost beat Arsenal of all teams. They were like
Manchester City.
Yeah, and they beat Manchester City. So Crystal Palace is going to be a tough one, but it should really be a must-win game for Villa.
Yeah. So we'll have to see what happens. I just get the feeling with Dean Smith that he's kind of scratching around, looking for that kind of formula where he can keep all of his players and the ones he's brought in, he can kind of keep them happy, but trying to maintain some kind of shape. He changed to 3 at the back, which worked for a bit, and then didn't work, and then he went to a back 4. Dropped his captain, which was a big bold move yesterday in Tyrone Mings, and he's looking to be able to play Ollie Watkins and Danny Ings up front together, and to be able to have that shape, he's tinkering around with all of the players kind of kind of behind him. So it's like he's slinging mud at the wall and just see if anything sticks. That's the way it looks like to me at the moment.
Absolutely. I thought, Tyrone Mings has been a decent player and gets dropped. So it's like a case of if your captain is out of the squad for no apparent reason, seemingly, maybe there's something at the training ground that we don't know about. Maybe he's carrying an injury. But, without that knowledge, it was a bit of a weird one to leave Tyrone Mings out of the squad. So, yeah.
And he's lost his two.
We don't know. We don't know what's happened at the training ground. So, yeah.
And Dean Smith has lost his two sort of lieutenants as well in John Terry and Richard O'Kelly, both leaving towards the start of the season. Craig Shakespeare came in. We got this specialist set piece coach, but it just doesn't look like a very happy ship at the moment. And as I say, these 3 games that they've got coming up, they're going to be a big test for Dean Smith and for us. I don't see Villa being in a relegation battle. I think they've got far too much in the way of quality once it all kind of settles down and they kind of find that formula. But for the time being, though, it's concerning. I said that I always felt it would be difficult against West Ham with the way they were all last season and the way they've started this season. There was the capitulation at the end against Wolves, having been 2-0 up, which I think that's what's affected them more than anything in this run. But then you get particularly the first half away at Arsenal on that Friday night, which to me as a fan, it was a performance which is just unacceptable. I cannot deal. I can take losing any game. Well, God knows we're Midland football fans. We know about losing. We know about losing. It's how you lose, isn't it? It's absolutely. I dare say we'll get on to talking about that when we get on to getting onto your lot in a bit. But it's that level of performance against Arsenal, I can't take. I can't accept. I can't stomach as a fan, and that. If you're not doing the basics, you're not going to win any game of football at any level, and that's what they weren't doing. No, so the opportunity is there on Friday night against Southampton, who've made a stuttering start to the season. Will Danny Ings be back against his former club? They didn't really give any reasons why he was out of the side on Sunday.
No, absolutely.
Possibly a COVID issue or something. We don't know. That's just speculation. There was one more thing, and we will move on from Villa in a moment. I did see an article today questioning whether or not the Jack Grealish money had been wasted with the signings that Villa have made. Obviously, Buendia, Danny Ings, Leon Bailey. My argument to that would be that, well, the Jack Grealish money hasn't been wasted. The Jack Grealish money should still be in the bank, because these were signings that were earmarked before Jack Grealish sort of left the club. And Villa's owners, they've got enough money to have been able to sign those players without selling Jack Grealish. Now, FFP might have come into play, where in terms of if they wanted to buy those players, they would have to balance the books in some way. We don't know. That's far too complicated for simple people like me to understand. But for the article in question to say, has that money been wasted? I don't think it has, because I don't think it's that money that they've spent. They've spent the money that they had anyway. So if there are needs for sort of reinforcements for Villa, in January, maybe even next season, then it should still be there. It should still be there. So we'll just have to wait and see.
Absolutely. I mean, when it talks to transfer money, I mean, look no further than West Bromwich Albion. I mean, we sold Mateus Pereira to Al Hilal. As far as I can tell, we haven't seen any return off that. Basically, we was in the Premier League last season, obviously, but we always felt over here at Albion that the owner just wasn't investing in the team. It was all basically what we used, the players we used to get promoted in the first place, plus a few loan signings from Chelsea and other teams. So yeah, when it comes to like actually seeing some investment back into the team, obviously look no further than us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we'll come on to West Brom now. Maybe you can help me out with this, actually, Jonathan, because I've seen a lot of them so far this season. They're on TV quite a lot because they're one of the fancy teams in the Championship. And I've been to a couple of games at the Hawthorns in a work capacity. And I'm really struggling to figure out what kind of team they're trying to be. Yeah. Because I look at them, I've seen them a good sort of 10 times this season. And I'm thinking, they're not a counter-attacking team. They're not a high press team. They're not a possession team. What are they trying to be? They're trying to be They're trying to be a promoted team. Essentially, is the answer to that. But I'm thinking, and I was at the 1-1 draw with Millwall. Wasn't particularly impressed with them that day. I've seen the last 3 games that, away from home that have been televised. There were mitigating circumstances, but there were a few very dodgy refereeing decisions at Fulham on Saturday.
Yeah.
But I thought they were dreadful at Swansea, and I thought they barely laid a glove on Stoke in the previous away game. At home, Blues played all right in the derby, squeezed through that one. Weren't particularly impressive against QPR, although they scored sort of late in the day on the Friday night. But I'm sitting there, I'm thinking they're getting results, enough results to sort of be in contention.
But is it?
I don't know how. I don't know how they're doing it. Yeah. I don't know how they're doing it.
Yeah, the question is over here at the Hawthorns is it convincing enough, to get promoted and to establish a spot in the Premier League long term? Because obviously, as I said, we had that one season last season, and we just gave up the ghost quite near the start of the season. We had the 3-3 draw against Chelsea, but the rest of the games, I mean, Leicester, Everton, completely, non-existent. Our team was. But this season, I mean, I'm a season ticket holder at the Hawthorns. I've been to every home game this season so far. And to start with, we did well. There were a few mistakes setting in, like the goals that Luton scored against us. Fortunately, we were clinical that game to win against Luton. But my God, it was an ordeal. And yeah, basically, to start with, we were like all passing it around, one-touch pass, everything like that. But as soon as we've started losing, we've started turning into like a hit and hope team. And it's basically, and the whole sweeper keeper idea from Johnston. I mean, QPR pretty much proved how wrong that is. The sweeper keeper. Literally in the first minute.
I don't think he's good enough to. I know he's played for England and that, but I don't think he's technically good enough on the ground to be able to do that. There was the goal. There's a couple of times, but the goal at Stoke.
The goal at Stoke,
and I think against QPR as well. Yeah. Where you just think, come on, you're an England international here, Sam. You must know a bit about passing technique and a bit about starting positions, and they kind of got caught out both times. And I thought that's something that, and the thing about the Championship is, although there's 46 games, there aren't that many opportunities where you're going to get away with those kind of mistakes, or if you throw in a silly result.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. Mistakes will get punished in the Championship. To be honest, more so than in the Premier League, because obviously the Premier League's got VAR if anything goes wrong. But in the Championship, I mean, like at Fulham, mistakes do get punished. Fulham's second goal, Snodgrass back pass to Johnston. I have no idea what either of them was doing for that. But you don't give any opportunities to a striker like Alexander Mitrovic. He absolutely pounced on that for his second goal, Fulham's second of the day, and but it's basically, I mean, even decent tackles on Saturday. The Carl Bartley penalty.
It's one of the worst decisions I've seen all season.
Definitely not. If we did have VAR, likely that would have got overturned.
But you can legislate for that to an extent, John.
Yeah.
But the point you make about the pass from Snodgrass to Johnson, right? You've got Robert Snodgrass, experienced footballer, has played in the Premier League and is a Scottish international. Likewise, Sam Johnson, as we just mentioned, England has played for England this season.
Yes.
Although it's against San Marino, he still played for England.
Yes.
So you cannot, when you're looking at building a team that's going to get you out of the Championship, when you're starting to fall behind Bournemouth and Fulham, those are the kind of players that you're going to look to, or that you should be looking to. You've got a lot of young lads in there. You got Malumbi, and there are various others. Hugh Gill. They look promising. But I look at Snodgrass and I look at Sam Johnson. I said, no, you two know what it's all about. You two should be setting the example with the performances.
And to be honest, you could throw Livermore and Bartley in there as well in that category.
Yeah. Yeah, because you get with West Brom, what they've got to get away from West Brom is that they've got to stop flip-flopping with Norwich, because you've got Norwich in the Premier League, who are obviously always going to come down, but going to be too strong when they come back down, and to go straight back up again. You want to get back up, and you want to sort of maintain it. But the problem is now, in terms of the automatic places, they are getting left behind the likes of Bournemouth and Fulham. And then as the season is starting to take shape, there's a lot of competitive teams in and around those playoff places. You've got Coventry, you've got Huddersfield. I think
Blackpool
I've seen
as well.
Blackpool, Reading. It's not, it's okay. We'll finish third. We'll be secure in the playoffs. I don't think it's going to be that straightforward.
No,
and this is where Valerian Ismail, in many ways, he's living off that season at Barnsley last season. And he's got to prove that wasn't a fluke. And this is where I come back to this initial question at the start of the discussion about West Brom, is that what is their identity? What are they trying to be?
Yeah, absolutely.
Is Valerian Ismail a livelier in terms of his character and personality, which he is. He's quite. You listen to him interviewed. He's quite an infectious character, and you listen to what he says. Is he just a livelier Tony Pulis?
Yeah, well, most of the Albion fans are thinking he's a different version of Tony Pulis and the whole Pulis ball tactic as well. But honestly, I honestly don't know what we're trying to do at the Albion, to be honest. I mean, some games we play really, really well, and you think, yes, come on, we've dominated teams, we've kept possession for most of the game, very few mistakes, and we've looked livelier. There's been others where we've ground out wins or draws, like against Blues. We just about won that one. But credit to Blues, they came at us and we just couldn't deal with them for most parts of the game. And then you've got the last three away games, the Stoke game, the Swansea game, and the Fulham game, where we were second best in all areas of the park. And it's like, well, when you go into an Albion game, like either at the Hawthorns or away, be it a Friday kickoff, a Wednesday kickoff, or a Saturday kickoff, the question that's on most of Baggies fans' minds right now is, which West Bromwich Albion are we going to see tonight? Or which West Bromwich Albion are we going to see today? Because it's confusing the way we're playing from game to game. Unlike Bournemouth, who's been really consistent this season, not even lost a game yet, and Fulham, who's had their moments where they've had a couple of losses, but the end of it, Fulham have been pretty consistent as well. But we just haven't had that consistency so far this season.
Yeah, and Middlesbrough, I think, coming at the weekend, and if it's Valerian Ismail's brand of football against Neil Warnock's brand of football.
Yeah.
There could be a few. There could be a few like kind of stiff necks as the crowd look into the air where the ball is throughout the
And
90 minutes.
we've also got Hull in midweek as well.
Hull in midweek.
Both games at home. Hull on Wednesday and Middlesbrough on the Saturday. So Hull, they're bottom three at the moment. We should beat them, and I use the term loosely. We should beat Hull because they're still in single figures in terms of points. 15 games gone. So yeah, on paper we should beat Hull. Middlesbrough may prove to be a tougher test. They was up against Cardiff, who they themselves haven't been playing well, and they absolutely brushed them aside. So yeah, the question is, again, what team is Albion going to be against Hull and especially against Middlesbrough?
Yeah, absolutely. You'll be all right for the next two because I won't be watching them. I've worked it out. The best performances that have come from West Brom, particularly recently, like Bristol City at home, for instance. I wasn't there. I didn't see it. So I was going to go to Middlesbrough, the Middlesbrough game on Saturday, but I'm now otherwise engaged. You'll be all right. You might get 6 points this week. I might not be the jinx that. A lot of Albion fans might claim me to be.
Now, if only Bournemouth and Fulham could lose a couple of games, we'd be right back in it.
Doesn't look likely though. That's the thing, likely, isn't it?
Absolutely,
And it's one of those. You are with the West Midlands Football Podcast. Monday evening. Me, Ben Ellis, and Jonathan is with us as well. I'm Villa. He's Baggies. And we're just looking back to the weekend action. Wolves taking on Everton at the moment in the Premier League. Wolves had a goal ruled out for whatever VAR reason. We're not watching the game at the moment, but it is 0-0 between Wolves and Everton. Staying in the Championship, and Blues have turned it round. Back-to-back wins against Swansea, and we just mentioned Middlesbrough. They went to Middlesbrough. That's a cracking away. You win 2-0 at Middlesbrough in the Championship. That's a fantastic win.
Absolutely. All credit to Birmingham. I mean, it's not really surprising, based on my own experience with Blues, how we just about scraped a 1-0 win against them the other week. That seemed to give them the determination that they needed to beat Swansea and to beat Middlesbrough weekend just gone. Troy Deeney as well. I mean, he's become an absolute asset to them right now. He didn't score against Middlesbrough, but he assisted Scott Hogan's goal, and Roberts as well. Really good goal from him. And the Blues fans should be really proud right now.
They had a run of about 6 games where they didn't score a goal. And a couple of damaging defeats in there as well. Nottingham Forest at home springs to mind, losing 3-0 quite recently. But I'll tell you the thing about Blues under Lee Bowyer, and I haven't seen as much of Blues as I have West Brom, but I've seen enough as Wolves have now gone in front against Everton in the Premier League. Kilman on 28 minutes. At Molineux, you'll be delighted with that one, Jonathan, I'm sure.
I'm a temporary Everton fan tonight.
But the thing I've noticed about Blues so far this season is that however competitive it is, however tight the game is, and you mentioned the West Brom game recently, they're always, in every game that I've seen, have had one or two massive chances at sort of 0-0, and they haven't taken them, and ultimately they've kind of paid the price. Now, we mentioned about Villa about 20 minutes ago. What have they got, and how can they kind of turn this round? But you're thinking, okay, they're not scoring goals, Blues, at the moment, but they are creating these gilt-edged chances. And when you've got Troy Deeney, and when you've got Scott Hogan, and when you've got Lukas Jutkovic, that eventually is going to turn around for you, and you are going to start taking those chances. And I think that's what we've seen in the last couple of games anyway, for Blues. It's just a question, and for neither of us diehard fans of Birmingham City, so we're speaking kind of objectively here.
Yeah.
the back. The apologies if you picked up some language in the background there while we're live, but it doesn't matter. You know, we're working from home and stuff, so apologies. Right, lost train of thought there. No, Lee Bowyer said after the game against Nottingham Forest, where, as we mentioned before, where they lost 3-0, is that the defensive makeup of the team with Blues hasn't changed for the last sort of 4 or 5 years. It's almost always the same kind of personnel. And Lee Bowyer said these boys 2 or 3 times have needed a result on the final day of the season just to stay up.
Yeah.
He said, and after that game, he said, today I saw why. So, although you've got Deeney, Jukovic, and you've got Hogan up front, I think Chong looks a good player in the championship.
Yeah.
And that's all fine. That's all fine, and that's all encouraging. If the back end of the field starts to go a bit sort of stale and stagnant again, as we've seen, then they might start to struggle. But I don't put it this way. I don't see them making a run for the playoffs. But I don't see that last day desperate struggle to stay up this season. And I think most Blues fans, if they're really honest, they'd take that any day of the week from where they've been.
Absolutely. I mean, this season in the Championship, there are far worse teams than Birmingham City right now. Derby, Barnsley, Hull, Cardiff, they're all doing pretty poor right now. And that's the bottom 3 plus the one team that's just above the bottom 3. So I don't believe Birmingham are, relegation threatened. I think they do have enough about them to actually make it work and survive in the Championship. A couple of good wins like they have against Middlesbrough, and they'll be right back in the playoff places, to be honest. But yeah, we seem to have lost Ben for the moment.
I am still here. I'm still here.
I'm
still here. You deserve the full screen for a few seconds there, John. That's all I'm saying. You were nailing it. Just quickly. Wolves have gone 2-0 up against Everton now in the Premier League. And as I said, we'll get back to Blues in a second. And I know this is local, but Rafa Benitez, I mean, any Everton fans who were sort of like, he can't be our manager because of what he did at Liverpool, they're going to jump on that, 5-2 defeat at home against Watford and the previous defeat against West Ham.
Absolutely. Everton in a bit of a losing run at the moment, it looks like.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So getting back to Blues. So, I mean, they're going to be sort of stable, sort of mid-table. If they manage to get on a roll, I mean, second half of the season, there's always one team that puts a run together that makes it like elastic. I don't see that being Blues, if I'm brutally honest.
No, of course.
But I think most Blues fans would settle for that, given where they've been. Bristol City, Tuesday night. I did used to do marketing for matches, and in previous seasons, I called this match the Twitter Derby because they both used the hashtag BCFC.
Yeah.
And it just flew over somebody's head. What does that mean? Okay, I'll just try to give it the build up. The Twitter Derby. So Bristol City at home on Tuesday night. West Brom recently beating Bristol City at home, so they'll probably fancy their chances of getting a result there.
And what I saw at the Hawthorns of Bristol City, Birmingham have every chance to come away with 3 points. If Hogan and Deeney and Jukovic are on form, then sorry, Bristol City fans, but you've got no chance.
And Reading on Saturday at home, which will be more of a test. Just actually, something's just come to my mind that you just mentioned Bristol City away at West Brom there, and this is my first chance to have said this because I wasn't doing any sort of broadcasting last weekend. I've got to say hats off to the medical staff at the Hawthorns who dealt with I think there were 3 incidents of stoppages in the game with people in the crowd being taken ill,
and also the concussion injury to a Bristol City player as well.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
there was a lot of stoppages. Obviously, as I said, I was there, being a season ticket holder. I witnessed it firsthand, and I was actually talking about this last week on the Box to Box podcast as well. So everyone's doing well, but it does raise the issue about like heart problems in football, and cardiac arrests and everything like that.
Yeah. Maybe I mean it's obviously a deeper topic for another day, but maybe we should possibly start looking at selling healthier food and drink at football matches long term. But there we are. I think we've reached the end of our little chat there, and looking back over the weekend's action, the West Midlands Football Podcast. You can watch the whole thing again if you go to our Facebook page, and you can leave your opinions there as well. As I say, Southampton against Aston Villa on Friday night in the Premier League. So that's a big test for Dean Smith to get back to winning ways. And as we mentioned, West Bromwich Albion, Hull City on Wednesday night, and Middlesbrough at the Hawthorns on Saturday. And for Birmingham City, Bristol City on Tuesday, and then they take on Reading on Saturday. It's been a fascinating discussion. Jonathan Wimbush, who has joined us, you can follow him on Twitter there at CrazyShadow303. And at Ben Ellis 1982, no relevance with that. Villa fan, 1982 and all that. No, it's the year I was born. Okay, 5 weeks after, so I just missed it. European Cup final, but it did happen. So thanks very much indeed for joining us. The Box to Box podcast will be happening tomorrow. That will delve into the wider issues of football up and down the country.
And I believe I'll be on that as well, the Box to Box tomorrow as well. I'll be on there.
I was due to be, but I had to pull out to come and do this.
Yeah, so I'm actually replacing you for that one.
You're replacing me. Okay, fair enough.
Call it a sub.
Yeah, thank you. I do appreciate that, actually.
No problem.
The West Midlands Football Podcast back next Monday evening with the guys. So enjoy your football for the rest of the week, and we will see you soon.
See you later, guys.
Bye-bye.